Hey guys, before I get into this video, let me say something that is really important, and hopefully you guys will help me out with this. I got this knife from White Mountain Knives. They are by far my favorite US retailer if I'm ordering and getting stuff shipped into Canada. There are a number of reasons for that, but I won't go into too many details other than to say, if you want to buy this knife, buy it from them, please, because you'll get a 10% discount by using the discount code SHARPSTUFF. And it may help the channel. You know, if they see that a lot of people are watching this and going to them to pick this stuff up, then it says, hey, Kevin's a great guy. He helps me sell a lot of stuff. Maybe I should give him a break as well. So thanks for doing that. Hope you enjoy the video. We'll see you in a second. Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. Today we're going to take a look at the Civivi Praxis. We're also going to do a comparison here with the Civivi Aquila. So I thought I'd combine these into one video just because everyone's done a review of the Praxis, and to make this knife, to this video stand out just a little, I thought I would include within it a discussion of this. So in addition to our review of the Praxis, we will also do a bit of a comparison and discussion of the Aquila, whether or not it's worth jumping up in price. I will still do a full review on the Aquila coming up in a little while. I really haven't had it long enough to be doing a full review up to this point, but I have been able to have quite a bit of quality time with the Praxis and want to talk about that. Let me quickly add by way of introduction that this is now, what we have here is 2 of 5 knives from Civivi. We've got the Praxis, the Naha, and the Backlash. Those were the initial releases in the 9CR18 MOV steel. And then we've got the Aquila and the Cruiser in VG10 with ceramic bearings and detent ball and titanium clip on both of those, I believe. Anyway, those are the options as they stand right now. The first 3 come in around $42 and the other 2 come in around $62. It'll be interesting, and I would really like to hear your speculation. Let me just adjust that camera a teeny bit. I would like to hear your speculation about whether or not Civivi continues with more in this line or comes out with more models like this. And really, I'm imagining, you know, it'll be up to us, okay? Whatever we tend to be drawn toward, whatever we buy more, will probably dictate what they come up with in the future. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get through some of the specs and some of the details on this knife. I will say overall it is pretty stinking good, and I've been quite happy with the performance I've gotten out of it, and a number of others have said the same, so probably won't be a huge departure here. But 8 7/16 is the overall size, so almost 3.5 inches, which is a really nice size for a knife as far as I'm concerned. 3 11/16 on the blade length, so it's just a little under 3 3/4. 4 3/4, and you know, it's actually just under 4 3/4 on the closed length there. 1/2 inch thick, which is again pretty standard. Most of these numbers are pretty common for EDC folders. 4.4 ounces on the weight. And really, given this knife, when you kind of take a look at the size of it, the amount of G10 here, they have milled out the scales internally to lighten it up a bit, but 4.4 ounces is, in my mind, very comfortable. I have no concerns. In terms of how this carries, it actually carries quite nicely. It's nice and smooth and rounded. It's not as aggressive G10 as maybe you're used to on even a Spyderco. This is a little toned down even from that. And because of that, it goes in and out of pocket really well. It carries simply, it's smooth, it's not obtrusive. And so for all those reasons, I find this quite comfortable to carry around as, you know, an EDC folder. There is one limitation I would put on this knife, and we'll talk about that when we go through the details, beginning with the blade. So blade steel here, we've got a drop point blade in 9CR18 MOV steel, full flat grind, or I guess a very high flat grind. Beautiful satin finish on that knife. I love the fact that there's no bannering all over this blade. It's just clean, which I find really classy, really attractive. Now, the nice thing about this blade, the thing that stands out to me for $42 is the performance on this steel. So 9CR18 MOV, this is the thing that really got a lot of discussion going about these knives, but everyone who's commented on this, in my experience, has been the same. If you want a full discussion and test of this, go check out Cedric Canada Gear and Outdoors. He has a full test of this steel, and the performance on it is very good. Okay, for the $40 price point, it is really hard to get steel that is this good. Yeah, the D2 options are out there. And I, you'll have to decide for yourself whether or not you opt for something in D2, or whether you go with something like this. This 9CR18 MOV doesn't perform quite as well as D2, but it's so close that it may be worth the trade-off to get that really stainless performance that some of us really want. I know when I was first new to knives, D2 used to scare me a little bit because it wasn't stainless. Now at this point, I've got enough experience and I care for my knives well enough that I really don't look for super high stainlessness unless I have a specific need for it in a role that I'm looking for. But I know some of you really like to avoid those non-stainless steels, and so this may be a really, really nice option. And you are going to get very good performance, much better than a lot of the other budget steels out there, especially with the way we seems to be treating these. Now, the next thing about this blade that I want to discuss is the thinness. And if you like a slicey blade, you are going to love this. This thing is like 15 thousandths behind the edge, so it's super thin. The blade stock itself is not thick. It's only 117 thousandths stock. That means you have a really, really slicey blade here. It's thin behind the edge. This just offers no resistance at all when you're going through material. And so if in your EDC type of tasks, you're regularly doing the kinds of things that need that really slicey blade, then this is going to be a great option for you. Now, here's the qualifier. If in your EDC tasks, you do things that are a little tougher, a little rougher, then you may be put off a little bit by that slicey blade. This conventional wisdom right now among reviewers is that, hey, we want thin blade stock, we want thin blades so that, I don't know, I guess I can slice tomatoes or carrots or something with my EDC knife. For me, the reality is I rarely slice tomatoes and carrots with my EDC knife. I just almost never do it. And so I would almost lean toward something a little thicker. If this was, 125 thousandths or 135 thousandths, I might be even more excited about it than I am. Now, having said all that, this is a great blade and I've used it a lot and found the performance to be very, very good. Okay, so I'm not complaining one bit. And honestly, I'm pretty careful with my blades. I don't pry with them. I don't put them under any kind of lateral pressure. I don't twist them. I just cut stuff. Okay, this is how I use my blades. And if you're going to use it that way, this is not going to be a problem. I just know some of us, and I actually, I like Hinderers. I like my Formax. I like some of those thicker, bulkier blades. And that would be about my only complaint about this blade. The performance on the steel though, and the grind is fantastic. Okay, so the blade for me is a huge win and really doing a couple special things for the price point. One, the performance out of this steel, but two, that clean blade is so attractive to me. I just love that Civivi decided to not go with any, lettering all over. That is so, so classy. All right. Now, let's go on to lockup and deployment. This is really about the least exciting thing about this knife. Is the action nice? Does the flipper tab work? Yes, it does. Okay, and it's actually a little boring. The action is nice. It feels very smooth. It's easy to unlock. It's easy to flip. And that's about it. It's not as smooth. It's not one of those knives, when I, if I take out this knife, for example, this is the Bestech Paladin. The detent is a little stiffer and a little more enjoyable for that reason. Things like, for example, the Real Steel Megalodon, where I just, could not get over how good the action was for the price point. That's not like this, okay? It's not this mind-blowing crazy thing. It's very good. The performance is totally awesome. But that's about it. There are tons of great flippers out there. They all flip. The detent is dialed in, and that's about what I would expect. And so certainly, if you've never experienced something with a good detent and a good action, you're going to be really, really impressed with this. But if you've handled lots of knives that have a good action, that are well put together and dialed in, this is going to be kind of what you've come to expect. And I will say, for $42 to get that is really, really nice, but it's not like mind-blowing. Okay, so next up, let's talk about the handle. First off, the way it's built. So we have Torx bit construction. By the way, I do like, so these two screws here holding the clip on, sorry, I got them out of frame there. These are the only two T6. Everything else is a T8. And Civivi has seemed to make that a thing. The same is true of this knife. All the screws that we care about are T8, and I really, really like that. I have taken both these apart. They come apart really, really easily. They go back together really, really easily. And so, I love the way WE has done the construction on these knives. It's simple, it's functional, totally happy with it. So we got G10 stainless steel, G10 backspacer, movable clip. This is a deep carry clip, of course, and it is movable to left or right tip up carry, but no tip down carry if you were looking for that. Let's flip it over and let you look at the non-show side for a little while. I had a comment not that long ago saying, hey, I want to see the other side of the knife. So there you go. There's the other side of the knife while we're talking about the handle. So what about ergonomics? What about fit and finish? The fit and finish is really good. For 42 bucks, it's great. Sadly, I think we've become accustomed to not getting great fit and finish. If you're buying CRKTs and Kershaws, you've had some issues at 40 bucks. That does not seem to be the case with Civivi, and there's really no excuse for those other companies either. There's no reason why in this day and age, every knife shouldn't be leaving the factory pretty much working the way we would want it to, okay? A little issue here or there is okay, but some companies seem to consistently have problems, and I don't know why they do that when knives like the Tangrams from Kaiser or the Civivi stuff from WE can just be consistently good. Fit and finish is very nice, no issues there. Ergonomics are very good as well. They've nicely sort of chamfered. I know technically chamfered is like 45 degrees, whatever, but they've kind of contoured this G10, okay? So I know someone will always comment if you say that. They'll also comment on pronunciation, so look for that in the discussion down below. Anyway, this knife feels good in hand. It has no hot spots. The jimping could be just a teeny bit sharper. My one ergonomic gripe with this knife is the back spine. So I would have liked them to see them give me more real estate here. The finger choil works fine, especially back here, but I like to come up just a little bit when I'm using that finger choil, and this is pretty thin. If you were really doing, like if you were carving wood, this would get uncomfortable very quickly. It's just too thin. So I would have liked them to give me sort of a landing strip for my thumb right there. Otherwise, the ergonomics are very, very nice, and I really, really enjoy this. It feels, it's positive, it's grippy, it's comfortable. All the things that we basically look for in a folder. Now, we've kind of covered all of the bases in terms of the details and what we like and what we dislike. And I think you can see, guys, why I really enjoy this knife and feel like it's doing a great job for $42. Let's bring in the Aquila now and just do a little bit of comparison here. Okay, so these knives are very, very close in size. There's about 1/8 of an inch difference in overall length and about 1/8 of an inch difference in blade length. The Aquila is a little bit lighter, so 4 ounces versus 4.4 ounces. Hardly something you're going to notice. The blade, of course, is VG10 steel with a hollow grind rather than 9CR 18 MOV with a flat grind. Both of them have their benefits. The stock on, let me show you side by side so you can really get a good look at this. You can see the stock is a little bit thicker on the VG10. And of course, a hollow grind is going to perform differently than a flat grind, but this flat grind is so thin that it's hardly going to be noticeable. I tend to like hollow grinds because I like that extra thinness it gives me. I like that initial cut to be very, very easy, very, very smooth. Both of these are very, very good performing blades, and I really, really like them both. Here's the crazy thing. The 9CR 18 MOV, in terms of edge retention, and the VG10 are incredibly close. Go, as I said, watch Cedric and Gear and Outdoors, watch his discussion, and you'll see that this performs about as well as VG10, which is stinking impressive, okay? And it means that the main difference that people kind of key in on between these two knives kind of goes away, all right? Now we're left with thinking about the other differences, and there are some, okay? I find the the Aquila to be just a little bit more attractive because I really liked the ignition, and essentially we have a larger sized WE knife ignition. The other thing that I like a little better is they gave me my landing strip. So when I choke up on this knife, which by the way feels really good, I do have a spot. I can either come back here on the thumb ramp or I can come up on the back of the blade spine and work away that way. That is what I'm looking for on the Civivi, or I mean on the Praxis. The other variation is this locks into my hand just a little bit more. Both are extremely comfortable. This is just a little bit more natural feeling in hand. All right. Then the other part of this discussion has got to be the action, and the action is marginally, okay, but just marginally better on the Aquila. All right. So hard to make a call on these two. Both are really, really good and both feel really nice. However, the elephant in the room, I guess, is the extra 20 bucks. And so for that extra $20, you get almost imperceptibly, but slightly better action with ceramic bearings and ceramic detent ball. We also get a titanium clip. Now, maybe you'd want that clip, and probably, if you went and bought an aftermarket titanium clip, it's going to be 20 bucks anyway. So maybe that justifies the cost for you right there. The other thing I think, I'm sure that we're going to see some, when you get that one nice titanium part on a knife, it's so easy to pop that off and do some crazy anodization on it. And I suspect we'll see that. I talked about that in my first impressions on the Aquila. So that's really the breakdown on how these compare. They're so close. The Aquila is just a slight margin better in a couple of areas, but not so much the steel. And that was the thing that I think everyone complained about. And I asked, would you be willing to pay an extra 20 bucks for VG10? A lot of people said yes, but in terms of performance, you're really not getting that much. Okay, now I do want to bring in some other comparisons, and I wanted to ask you guys this question before we leave this off. Actually, I forgot, so let me come back for 1 second. What if they used the 9CR18 MOV on this knife and charged $52, $10 more for those extra upgrades? What would that be like to you guys? So let me know down in the comments below. Now I want to get to a couple other comparisons that are worth making that, maybe knives that you're interested in terms of, the competition that's out there. Okay, so one of the obvious competitors is going to be the Rat Model 1 in D2, a little heavier, probably a little more heavily built as well. And this is where, I kind of spoke to those of you who like something a little more heavy duty, and the Rat one might be appealing to you, or perhaps the Bird. Let me move this up, and I've got the camera a little closer than usual. I thought I'd give you a nice view, but it makes it hard to fit everything on screen. So the Bird Raven 2 is definitely a little heavier use knife. It's got Teflon washers. The Rat is going to be a little heavier use knife with phosphor bronze washers. So those may be worthwhile options for you to consider. And again, these are for people who maybe want some, beat on their knife just a little bit more than I normally do. There's also, of course, rake knives, real steel knives. They're offering some pretty nice stuff. These steels are going to be comparable. Both are excellent budget steels, okay? So I'm not going to get into a huge debate about the differences. I really like 14C28N, and I have found it also performs about as well as VG10. So that's certainly something to consider. And then, of course, we've got the Bestech Paladin. This is around 50 bucks, okay? So that creates a whole, this sort of adds a middle point between the two Civivi knives that we looked at, the $62, the $42. Now we've got a $52 knife into the mix. And so I think the Rat 1 runs about 50 bucks in D2 as well. I don't know what this guy runs, probably around between 50 and 60. And the Bird is down closer to the $40 price point, so more comparable to the Civivi. All right, so what we have represented here are a number of really, really great options, all of which I would actually recommend and have no, I really enjoy all the knives I've been showing you. I will say there are some really nice things that this is doing differently. One, you're getting a really nice ball bearing action here that's smooth as silk and very enjoyable. You're getting blade steel that's going to outperform a lot of budget knives, especially the ones in the HCR13 MOV, which is sort of the go-to for Kershaw and Spyderco and CRKT and many others. And so those things I think are worth considering. We've also got a really nice design that's doing some things right that for some reason, some of the companies just, it's not like it's unknown stuff, but some companies really struggle to get the stuff that should be right just to get it right. And Civivi is not seeming to have that issue. So that's really, really nice. All right, so the steel to me stands out on this. The ergonomics stand out. The why can't I speak English today? Wow, the action stands out. The materials stand out. So overall, yeah, this is a really, really attractive knife to me. I find it very, very nice. The design is a win and it's really well put together. So what more could you want from a knife? And I think it's really hard to beat this in its price point. All right. So as I said, there's some knives that are similar, that are certainly comparable, but I wouldn't even, I would say they're at least it's equal, but not really that beat it out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.